Summary: Primal Leadership, Unleashing the Power of Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. The book explains how emotional intelligence, EI, is crucial for effective leadership, as leaders can create resonance or dissonance in their organizations, depending on how they manage their own and others' emotions. The book introduces the concept of primal leadership, which is the ability to influence the emotional state of others through one's own emotional state, and identifies 4 domains and 18 competencies of EI that are essential for primal leadership. The book also describes 6 leadership styles that are derived from these competencies, and provides practical guidance on how to develop one's EI skills and choose the appropriate leadership style for different situations. The first style is the visionary leader. This leader paints a compelling picture of the future, inspiring others to work towards a shared goal. They excel at articulating where the organization is going, but not necessarily how it will get there. This style can be particularly effective when a business needs a new direction or when employees need a renewed sense of purpose. Next, we have the coaching leader. This style focuses on developing individuals for the future. A coaching leader helps team members identify their unique strengths and weaknesses, tying these to their personal and career aspirations. They excel at delegating challenging assignments and providing ongoing feedback. This approach works well when employees are already aware of their weaknesses and are receptive to change. The third style is the affiliative leader. This leader strives to create harmony and build emotional bonds within the team. They prioritize people and their emotions over tasks and goals. This style can be particularly useful during times of stress, when team morale needs boosting, or when trust needs to be rebuilt. Fourth is the democratic leader. This style draws on the collective wisdom of the group, building commitment through participation. Democratic leaders are great listeners who collaborate with their teams to reach decisions. This approach can be highly effective when the leader is uncertain about the best direction to take and needs input from capable employees. The fifth style is the pace-setting leader. This leader sets high standards for performance and exemplifies them personally. They're obsessive about doing things better and faster, and they quickly pinpoint poor performers. While this style can yield excellent results from a highly motivated and competent team, it can also lead to burnout if overused. Finally, we have the commanding leader. This is the classic command and control style, demanding immediate compliance with orders without explaining the reasons. While this style can be effective in a crisis or with problem employees, it can have a negative impact on the organizational climate if used too frequently. Goleman argues that the most effective leaders don't rely on just one style. Instead, they are able to switch between styles as the situation demands. The key is to understand which style is most appropriate for a given scenario and to develop the emotional intelligence to recognize when to use each one. It's important to note that while some styles, like visionary, coaching, affiliative, and democratic, tend to have a positive impact on organizational climate, others, like pace-setting and commanding, should be used sparingly and in specific situations. The narrative of these 6 styles illustrates the complexity of leadership and the importance of adaptability. It suggests that true leadership isn't about adhering to a single approach, but about having the emotional intelligence to read situations accurately and respond with the most appropriate style. Primal Leadership argues that the fundamental task of any great leader is to engage the emotions of their followers and guide them in a positive direction. Offering up an emotionally intelligent, resonant style of leadership, it delves into the skills and qualities needed to become a better leader and bring out the best in your team. Some key ideas that are often associated with this work include: 1. The importance of resonant leadership, leaders who are in tune with their own emotions and those of others. 2. The concept of the emotional climate of an organization and how leaders can shape it. 3. The idea that effective leadership involves more than just traditional management skills, but also emotional and social competencies. 4. The potential for leaders to develop their emotional intelligence skills over time. Introduction: Discover the importance of emotionally intelligent leadership. What does it take to be a great leader? People might say it's about having a clear goal, strong plans, and fresh ideas. But great leadership isn't just about what a leader does, it's also about how they do it. In fact, Primal Leadership suggests that emotional intelligence is the most vital part of being an excellent leader. Leaders who are deeply attuned to emotions can inspire their teams by understanding and speaking to the things that make them tick. Set the emotional standard. The reason that emotionally intelligent leadership is so crucial in the workplace has to do with the open-loop nature of the limbic system, the emotional center of our brains. Many other systems in our bodies are closed-loop, meaning they aren't impacted by external factors. For instance, the circulatory system of the person sitting next to you has no direct effect on your own bodily functions. In contrast, open-loop systems are highly dependent on external sources. That's why our limbic system is able to receive signals from people around us that can alter our hormones, sleep rhythm, and even immune system functions. In other words, our peers have the power to physiologically influence our emotions. Good leaders can make use of this fact. Throughout history, groups of humans have looked to them for emotional assurance and certainty when facing threats or accomplishing tasks. It's likely that ancient leaders were placed in their roles because their leadership style was emotionally compelling. In modern organizations, this primal aspect of leadership is often overlooked, but the concept remains just as important. Especially in the workplace, people often take their cues from the top. The way that a leader approaches and executes their work carries special weight. Leaders manage meaning for the group as a whole, setting the emotional standard for how to interpret and react to any situation. Leaders who learn to maximize the benefits of primal leadership can drive the emotions of their employees in a positive direction. And the better they are at transmitting positive emotions, the more powerfully the good feelings are spread. Of course, this isn't to say that leaders have to be overly nice or fake positivity when things go wrong. Instead, what matters is communicating the realities of work life without causing undue stress. The more demanding the work, the greater the need for a supportive, empathetic leader. Not only does an emotionally intelligent leadership style benefit the well-being of employees and the organization as a whole, but it has also been shown to improve efficiency. After all, we're not robots, yet. The way we feel at work directly impacts the effort we're willing to put in. Example: the ripple effect of a leader's emotions. Imagine a leader walking into the office with a positive, energetic, and optimistic attitude. This emotional state ripples outward, affecting the mood of the team members. When a leader demonstrates enthusiasm and confidence, it encourages others to adopt a similar mindset. Conversely, if a leader frequently exhibits stress, negativity, or frustration, that emotional state can spread like wildfire, dampening morale and stifling productivity. One deep example from Primal Leadership that illustrates this dynamic is a story about a CEO of a tech startup. Early in the company's life, the CEO maintained an infectious sense of optimism even when setbacks occurred. This optimism was not blind or superficial, it was grounded in a realistic vision of the company's potential. The CEO's emotional standards set a tone where challenges were seen as opportunities, and this emotional resilience cascaded down to the rest of the employees. As a result, the team was able to remain creative, focused, and driven even under pressure. On the other hand, Goleman also describes situations where leaders unintentionally set a negative emotional standard. In one case, a manager who was overwhelmed by stress would often retreat into silence or become visibly frustrated during meetings. The team mirrored this behavior, with members becoming withdrawn and less communicative. Without realizing it, the manager had set an emotional climate of fear and insecurity, which ultimately stifled innovation and collaboration. Emotional contagion and resonance. Goleman talks about emotional contagion, the idea that emotions are contagious and spread from one person to another, especially from leaders to their teams. When leaders are aware of this, they can intentionally cultivate positive emotional resonance, creating a harmonious and productive environment. For example, a leader who actively practices empathy by checking in with team members, listening to their concerns, and offering support fosters a sense of trust and safety. Over time, this behavior builds a collective emotional standard where employees feel valued and motivated to contribute. Goleman shares an example of a hospital administrator who used emotional intelligence to turn around a struggling department. By paying attention to her team's emotional needs, recognizing stress, and promoting a supportive culture, she was able to inspire a renewed sense of purpose in her staff. This emotional climate led to improved patient care and a more cohesive team dynamic. The role of self-regulation. Setting the emotional standard also requires self-regulation, one of the key components of emotional intelligence. Leaders must manage their own emotional responses before they can positively influence others. Goleman emphasizes that great leaders don't allow their emotions to dictate their actions, they are mindful of how their mood impacts the larger team. In one narrative, Goleman describes a manufacturing plant supervisor who was known for his temper. After attending an emotional intelligence workshop, he began practicing techniques like mindfulness and emotional reflection. Over time, his self-regulation improved, and he became more measured and calm in his interactions. This shift was noticeable to his team. Meetings that were once tense and filled with anxiety became more productive and open. The supervisor's transformation in managing his own emotions reset the emotional standard for the entire department, leading to better collaboration and morale. In Primal Leadership, setting the emotional standard is a core responsibility of any leader. The leader's emotions, whether positive or negative, create the emotional atmosphere of the organization. By cultivating emotional awareness, practicing empathy, and regulating their own emotional states, leaders can establish a positive emotional standard that inspires, motivates, and sustains high levels of engagement and productivity across their teams. Led with resonance. In some ways, leading people is like making music. When a leader positively affects a group's emotions, they're leading with resonance. If a leader uses negativity to undermine the group's emotional foundations, they're creating dissonance. So, how do you become a resonant leader? There are 4 domains of emotional intelligence you need to master. The first domain is self-awareness. While the ability to be self-aware is often neglected in business settings, it's arguably the most important factor of good leadership. If a leader can't understand and manage their own emotions, how can they expect to understand the emotions of others? Also, a leader who's attuned to their inner signals can recognize a feeling like anger or resentment, and work through it constructively before it crescendos into an outburst. Flowing directly from self-awareness comes the domain of self-management, which encompasses the focus and drive that all great leaders need to achieve their goals. This domain acts as a constant inner dialogue that keeps leaders moving in the right direction. The key to the third domain, social awareness, is practicing empathy. By paying close attention to how others are feeling, a leader can say exactly what's needed in the moment and act appropriately for each situation. Resonant leaders are able to convey their feelings honestly, in a way that propels their reports toward positive action. The first 3 domains come together to support the fourth, relationship management. This domain comprises some of the skills most commonly associated with leadership, including collaboration, conflict management, and persuasion. Your ability to effectively manage relationships boils down to how well you can embrace other people's feelings, act with empathy, and become aware of your own emotions. This is where you, as a leader, truly get to put your primal leadership skills to the test. Examples. In Primal Leadership by Daniel Goleman, the concept of leading with resonance refers to a leader's ability to attune to and harmonize with the emotions of their team, creating a positive and emotionally engaging atmosphere. Resonance, as Goleman explains, occurs when a leader's actions and emotions strike a deep chord with the people they lead, fostering emotional connection, trust, and a shared sense of purpose. Leading with resonance is not just about charisma or being well-liked, it is about using emotional intelligence to foster an environment where everyone feels aligned with a common goal. Resonance and emotional intelligence. At the heart of leading with resonance is emotional intelligence, the ability to recognize, understand, and manage emotions in oneself and in others. Resonant leaders use their emotional intelligence to create emotional attunement, where their positive energy and emotional state can elevate the moods, focus, and motivation of their team members. Goleman shares an example of a school principal who was known for her resonant leadership style. The principal had a knack for connecting deeply with teachers, students, and parents alike. She would start every day by walking the halls of the school, greeting each person with warmth and genuine interest. Even during difficult moments, she was able to remain calm and compassionate, providing support without being overwhelmed by negativity. Her ability to tune into the emotional states of others, empathize with their challenges, and offer encouragement created a culture of trust and mutual respect. Because of her resonant leadership, teachers felt more engaged and willing to collaborate. They knew that when they were struggling, the principal would offer a listening ear and constructive feedback rather than criticism. This emotional resonance trickled down to the students, who thrived in a supportive and uplifting environment. The school's success was not simply a result of academic strategies but of the emotional climate fostered by a leader who understood the power of emotional connection. The contrast of dissonance. Leading with resonance stands in stark contrast to dissonant leadership, where the emotional tone set by a leader creates confusion, stress, or disengagement. Dissonant leaders often fail to connect with their teams emotionally, either because they are too focused on their own agenda or because they lack emotional awareness. Goleman offers an example of a company where the CEO was brilliant but emotionally distant. He was technically skilled, but his interactions with employees were transactional, and he rarely displayed warmth or empathy. Over time, his dissonance created a culture of disengagement, where employees felt uninspired and disconnected from the company's vision. This example highlights how leading without emotional resonance can undermine even the best strategic or technical plans. Employees in such environments often feel that their emotional needs are unmet, which affects morale, collaboration, and creativity. Resonance in times of crisis. One of the most profound examples of resonant leadership from Primal Leadership involves a corporate leader navigating a major crisis. In this case, the company was facing significant financial struggles, and layoffs seemed imminent. The leader, however, did not distance himself from his team or resort to cold, detached decision-making. Instead, he chose to lead with transparency and empathy. He called a company-wide meeting, where he openly shared the challenges the business was facing but also expressed his deep concern for the employees. Rather than sugarcoating the situation, the leader acknowledged the fear and uncertainty that people were feeling. He listened to their worries and offered reassurance that every effort would be made to find solutions together. The honesty, vulnerability, and empathy displayed during that meeting created an emotional resonance that bound the team closer, even in the face of adversity. Employees felt seen and heard, which motivated them to work harder to help the company recover. They became more committed, knowing they were being led by someone who cared about them not just as workers, but as individuals. Creating flow through resonance. Another key aspect of leading with resonance is the ability to generate a state of flow within teams, a psychological state where people are deeply engaged and performing at their highest potential. Resonant leaders foster this state by creating an environment where emotional energy is positive, and people feel supported in their roles. They provide clear goals, feedback, and encouragement, which helps team members stay focused and connected to their work. In the book, Goleman highlights a resonant leader at an advertising firm who cultivated flow within her creative team. By consistently expressing enthusiasm for their work, she energized the team and made them feel proud of their accomplishments. She would frequently check in to ensure that her employees had the resources and support they needed, creating an environment where they could immerse themselves in creative problem-solving without the weight of anxiety or fear of failure. As a result, the team produced some of the most innovative campaigns in the firm's history, largely because they were in sync with their leaders' emotional energy. Resonance and the 6 leadership styles. Goleman discusses 6 leadership styles in Primal Leadership: visionary, coaching, affiliative, democratic, pace-setting, and commanding. Leaders who are resonant often blend several of these styles, depending on the context, to maximize their emotional connection with their teams. For example, a resonant leader might use the visionary style to inspire and align people with a compelling future vision, creating excitement and hope. At the same time, they may shift to an affiliative or coaching style, especially in one-on-one situations, to build emotional bonds and show genuine care for their team members' development. Resonant leaders know when to flex between styles, using emotional intelligence as a guide to match the emotional needs of the moment. Leading with resonance, as described in Primal Leadership, is about creating emotional harmony within teams through the use of emotional intelligence. It involves being deeply aware of one's own emotions and the emotions of others, using that awareness to foster a positive, connected, and engaged atmosphere. By doing so, resonant leaders inspire loyalty, creativity, and a sense of purpose, even in challenging times. Ultimately, leading with resonance creates a shared emotional experience that motivates people to do their best work while feeling valued and understood. Summary. Throughout history, groups have turned to their leaders for emotional guidance. Though often overlooked in today's modern workplace, this primal leadership ability is more important than ever. Together, the four domains of emotional intelligence, self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management, form the skill set needed to become an emotionally intelligent and resonant leader. These domains aren't inherent skills that all great leaders are born with, but they can be learned and perfected with patience and lots of practice. Thank you for listening. I hope this content is useful to you. If you like this kind of content, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel to support our team.